won't stop. Vote the ticket. Unless we stop. Go down the ballot. They play the top against the middle, against the bottom. Go down the ballot. Vote the whole ticket. Vote the ticket. Straight down the ballot. Go down the ballot. From the Appalachian Mountains to the valley out in Cali. Vote the ticket. Go down the ballot. The whole ticket. Vote the ticket. Vote the ticket. Go down the ballot. The entire ticket. Vote. Hey everybody, Assalamu alaikum. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notify button so you'll know when you're getting new episodes. And we just want to grow this project. I thank you in advance. Without further ado, let's get it rolling. The ShOUT Show. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Moss, host of the SOS, the ShOUT Show. Welcome to Sunday Potluck with me, your host, Preacher Moss. I hope you're having a beautiful Sunday, or for some of you, it's already Monday. Either way, my hope and even the salutation is just I want people to begin to get to that space where feeling good is a normal thing. Feeling good is a normal thing. We expect to feel good. We expect to feel safe. I believe what's been going on for the last however many months, COVID, George Floyd, all of that, we've gotten out of this space where we don't feel safe, and there's not an expectation, if you will, to feel all right, to feel good. You know, it's very tenuous. You have a very tenuous relationship with good fortune or progress or kindness or compassion or mercy. So I want to talk about that today on the show. Before we get into it, I want to make sure I give some shout outs. Shout out to anybody that's coming on the show for the first time. I keep the rules really clear, concise, and simple. Number one, thank you for coming on the show. Number two, when you come on the ShOUT Show, you are part of a large family, a large special family. The ShOUT Show family, the ShOUT Show soldiers, if you will. And I tell everybody, when you come on, if you don't mind, please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get our little numbers up, if you will. And number two, you know, when you come on, if you like the show, you know, tell somebody. Click the like button. I don't tell you to click the like button right at the beginning. Click it at the end. Let us know what you thought about it. And if you have an opinion, I'm sure you do, I say put it in the comments section. And brothers and sisters, everybody here knows, sure as my name is Preacher Moss, you will get your shout out on the ShOUT Show. So let me welcome some family that's already here. My regulars, Sister Reed, thank you for the dinner. I'm going to get into that after class. And Sister Sultana, consultant producer that makes this thing work so very well. We'll probably get our regulars in here. But I kind of want to get into the subject matter. Yesterday, I really spent some time talking about creativity killers. And one of the things that I began to understand, even for lack of a better word, had a better appreciation for, was that you know what, I need to be a little bit more engaged talking about progress, talking about how we move forward on certain things, and beginning to talk about how we as a community, and when I say community, I mean a community of not just like-minded individuals, but thinking people. It's all right to have a difference of opinion. We're trying to get progress. How do we begin to frame those communities, the communal understanding of power does not come from the government, it doesn't come from the president. It comes from what we're endowed with and how we use it and how we take it to apply it to different situations. So that's part of what this show is going to be about. I literally asked the question, and the question is on the screen. It said, what happens on November 4th? Rarely have we had an election that carries just so much impetus. I mean, normally it's a win-loss. I mean, when Bush won around Gore, people were upset and da-da-da. But it wasn't like this. It wasn't a referendum on Bush's character, Gore's character, the referendum on the system, the electoral college, and how that happened. Okay, I give you that. But this is different because you literally see people breaking the law, literally breaking the law to stay in power. And when I say breaking the law, I mean not just regular law. I mean human law. I mean laws of compassion, laws of mercy to maintain this psychological, I guess, positioning and psychological advantage they feel. Because in the end, when the people stand up, the politicians have to go away. When the people stand up, the politicians have to go away. And the reason I say that is because we have found ourselves in a bit of a quandary, because the question is, why are we standing up? Like November 4th, after the election on November 3rd, what are we going to do if the Constitution is not going to be followed? What are we going to do if we see somebody openly flouting democratic process in our face, saying it doesn't matter anymore? We don't care. And I'm saying it because you see it a lot with this whole thing about COVID. The idea that we're not trying to control COVID comes out of the White House, and support staff for Vice President Pence is sick, and he continues to campaign. It is a devoid, if you will. It's devoid of a lot of things, but it's a void that continues to grow, and it stabs us in the heart of everything we've been taught, everything we believed. Particularly for those who are not Black, particularly for those who are not Latino, particularly those who are not Native American, because you grew up on this ideal that as long as it worked for you, you couldn't really be concerned if it worked for other people. That was the thing about, for lack of a better word, that's white privilege. It works for me. I know it doesn't work for you, but it's okay as long as it works for me. So what are we going to do November the 4th? A lot of people have thought of, they've thrown out, I'm going to move to another country. Canada's right out the way. Mexico's south. I have a number of people, no joke, I have another people, good friends who have moved to Istanbul, have moved to Turkey. And they're willing to wait out the results of the elections and at least be there for a year because it felt like the conditions here in the United States are antithetical to their spiritual growth, their spiritual nurturing. And I say, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. But I don't blame them. They've done something that many of us probably wish we'd have done, and that is to unplug from that system. You remember me talking about unplugging from this unhealthy system way back when we started doing the ShOUT show. And in many ways I have. In many ways I see myself disconnected from the political process. In terms of politicians, my whole idea with getting people to vote is I want you to understand that your vote is empowerment. I look back and have memories of my parents going to vote, coming back with the sticker and all of that. And the vote was really, really different when I was growing up in the late 60s and the early 70s, because it was a badge of honor. The vote was less than, wow, I'm dating myself. Voter Act 65, I was born in 66. So imagine, here I am 10 years later, 11 years later, and people are still trying to understand and investigate the power and the nuances of voting for the first time. Dig that. Because here we are right now in 2020. People have been voting for years. And now you have, what I want to say is, we're having a revisiting, if you will, to the Reconstruction. Well, where Black people had the vote, but it's always been, I want to say, suspect. Because I always say when someone fights so hard to keep something from you, when they give it to you, what kind of value does it have? I always say, somebody's fighting to give it, they don't want me to have it, they don't want me to have it. When they give it to me, I know it's not the best condition. I know it's not the highest quality. And so it has been with voting. Because all the way going back to the 1860s, when blacks originally had to vote, go back to the 1860s, man, it's been a continued conspiracy to make sure African Americans, minorities, poor don't vote. Now, what does that mean? It means on November 4th, I believe, and then feel free to jump in, Satana, Reed, anybody. I believe on November the 4th, you should have been preparing for November the 4th. It was not a situation scenario where we could just sit and wait on programs to happen, that we can sit and wait and figure out the lay of the land once again someone is giving it to us. My point is, if it makes any sense, is that we should all be having conversations, just like today, the Sunday Potluck, and start talking about what are our alternatives, what are our options, what are the benefits of a Biden presidency, God forbid, what are the benefits of a Trump presidency? How do we, in this political process, begin to wean and glean some of the things that are due to us? Everything that all these politicians are talking about, healthcare, jobs, healthcare, jobs, all this type of stuff, that's owed to us. Those are part of inalienable rights. It bugs me to no avail to watch politicians talk to black people, talk to Latino people, like they're doing us a favor. Like I don't pay taxes. Like my tax dollars don't go to the nice fancy school that your son goes to or your daughter goes to. While my children have to go to the raggedy school down here that don't really have books and the libraries run down. What are we going to do November 4th? Except this. I'm going to say for November 4th, brothers and sisters, let's stop talking. Stop talking. For all my brothers and sisters, I love you. I'm in the Biden campaign and some of you in the Trump campaign. I'm going to tell y'all something. I can't think of a whole lot of people, particularly white people, in the United States in power. I said in power, like high levels of power, that are really, really, really giving the African American, Latino American, the Latino American, and the Native American communities anything resembling mercy. It's been very piecemeal. They give it to us when they want something. And I would say this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been very, very transactional. It's not transformative. We don't have transformative politics with these leaders. We have transactional politics. And I have news for you. It's about to get worse because all the people who are running behind Trump, have you seen those people? They're not rich. They're not rich. They're not wealthy. I'm going to give y'all some information. Really, 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 really wealthy people don't come to fundraisers, not public ones. They go to ones at the nice hotel like Mar-a-Lago, and it's a $10,000 plate affair, and it's very contained, and you got 200-300 people there, and everybody's paid $10,000. You don't go to see the public one is the rouser. That's the rebel rouser. That's the rah-rah. Remember when you were in high school and you had a homecoming and you fire up your football team because you want your football team to go out and win the game? Well, that's what this is right now. It is a homecoming, if you will. But they don't know who's going to win the game. And so you'll continue to see these rallies, brothers and sisters, rallies, because what that does is it invites a certain level of desperation. It invites a certain level of community, but it invites a certain level of desperation. Who the hell at this point in time, with all the information out about COVID, would just show up in a group of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people with no mask and expect that there's nothing going to happen? There are no negative consequences. In Minnesota, what's happening in Minnesota? They're having a spike. Why? Because Trump went up there, had a rally. Now you got a spike in Minnesota. I honestly believe, brothers and sisters, that the game is so many people will be sick. So many people will be traumatized by COVID that we won't have the will, we won't have the capacity to stand up for what we believe. Now, I'm gonna put this right. Whoever civil unrest is happening. Yeah. Here's the thing that you're not hearing, Sister Sultana and everybody that's listening. The things that you're not hearing anything about the military. You're not hearing anything about the police. Think about it. These rallies, no police, no military. What are they doing? They're exceptionally quiet. Exceptionally quiet. Is my belief, if Trump wins, I'm going to be honest with you, if Trump wins, the dude's not going to leave. He's not going to leave. You may be looking at the first political coup here in the United States. And it's going to be the worst coup in the world. You know why? Because people aren't going to fight back. The people that we elect, the people who promise to take care of us, the people who said our families matter, the people who said our jobs matter, you're going to find out only their jobs matter. Because I also follow patterns. And I watch a cadre of politicians bow down. I mean, bow down. No resistance, brothers and sisters, no resistance. You know, people, Murkowski, who said, I'm not going to vote for this Supreme Court judge because it's too soon. She turned around and now she's voting. Now we're going to get this woman as a Supreme Court justice. And here's the other thing. I find it a very, very dubious scenario that white America has laid down. I mean, laid down in a way I've never seen before. And it occurred to me deep in my heart last night. It occurred to me that white America never had a Malcolm, never had an Elijah, never had a Martin, never had a Fard Muhammad, never had a Jesse Jackson. They never had a Nelson Mandela. They are a defeated people who continue to turn out defeated people. Let me give a shout out to my man Abdul Bass. How you doing, brother? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let's say we should vote only one criteria: open shaitan versus hidden shut. Now that's real talk. That's real talk. Brother Bass, is this? I'm gonna come back to that. No, I'm not gonna come back. I'm gonna talk about it right now. Is this election, brothers and sisters? Is this election a mandate, if you will, or a referendum on shaitan? Is it a referendum on shaitanistic behavior? Because I see things that, this feels oddly like pre-Islamic Saudi Arabia. I mean, I expect to wake up one day and see naked politicians making tawaf around the White House. That's the way I feel. Because when a politician has no core, no spiritual core, no moral core, no ethical core, then what are you doing? And I question the Democrats too. I question the Democrats too, because you didn't ring the bell and say the house is on fire until you got out, until you thought you were safe to say something. See, because what happens with us is, black folk, and I don't want to take it the wrong way. Black folk, we've fallen into this thing where we have to be the hero and conscious for the evil that America does. So thus, we have to be the victim and the problem solver for what America does. The victim and the problem solver. I don't know how we got into that. I think of Barack Obama down in South Carolina at a funeral for the people that were shot in that church, that were killed in that church. And he sang Amazing Grace. He sang Amazing Grace. Now, I'll never forget it. Because in that moment, I said, who sings Amazing Grace for the people who are still here having to suffer? Listen to me carefully, not struggle, suffer through the trials and tribulations of being Black and conscious and aware and expecting of justice in the United States. Nobody. And we've had to carry the weight for everyone else. Everyone else benefits. We don't get the benefits of being early adopters for civil rights. Here we are, you work for civil rights, you go through slavery, you go through Brown versus Board of Education, you go to all of that. And a group of people, no knock, but a group of people who had nothing to do with that struggle benefit. I just did a homework assignment. And about people with disabilities or English language learners. And I read about a court case in 1974 where the Supreme Court, mind you, the Supreme Court ruled that this particular school district had to provide education and language that these kids would understand. And I'm not against that. But what did they use as the rule to win that landmark case? They used Brown versus Board of Education, which is, I'm like, wait a minute. And why do we keep doing that? Like, why do we keep doing that? Uh-oh, Star in the building. We got Mary Moss on the line right now. Thank you, Mama Son. Let me tell you how serious this thing has been, brothers and sisters. I literally was out running several days ago. Wallahi, anybody who knows me knows this is a landmark thing. I was out running several days ago, and I thought of the guys in Michigan, the militia in Michigan. I know they're all over the country. For a moment, brothers and sisters, I actually thought that I might need to go out and purchase a firearm. Because in my head, I had visions of Black Wall Street going up in flames. I had visions of Rosewood going up in flames. Because I know and have felt the desperation of white people or people who are spiritually disconnected. I won't say white people, but people who are spiritually disconnected. I've seen that desperation. I've seen it play out. People ask me why I left Hollywood. I said, because I didn't want to be that person. Because once you go down that rabbit hole, it's hard to come out. It's very hard to come out. If you ever read Malcolm X's autobiography, listen to that part where he talks about being a predator. What that means to be a predator. What it meant for him to go back to those same areas and have to understand the damage that he did. So here I am. For the first time, only time I ever fired a gun, brothers and sisters, was in high school. And I had to do it. I went to military school. It was part of military science. If I didn't fire a gun, I wasn't going to graduate. I fired. Bang, I'm done. I never touched another gun. But here we are. Here I am making decisions about my own core values. We got Brother Abdul Bassett on here. Let me see. That's right. Since we aren't the early adopters, I believe we need to build our own communities and focus on local elections because that's what has direct impact on us. Yeah, I agree there, Brother Bassett. But let me ask you this. Are we addicted to white mercy? Are we addicted to white law? Because we pursue white lifestyle. We pursue success through white filters, white supremacist filters, white privilege filters. In large regard, many of us, we say we want to be equal. We want to have the things that they have, But in many regards, you can't fully have it if you have to earn it. So you can't really truly validate if you have to earn it. Somebody's going to give it to you. It's like, I'm thinking about that. Have we, like we say, America's addicted to oil. Are we addicted to white privilege that we can't touch? A white privilege that we'll never be able to access. So it becomes like this holy grail, if you will. This holy grail that we've been chasing for years. My grandfather told me years ago. He said, if a white man ever give you something, give it back. Give it back. He said, if he didn't earn it, boy, give it back. He said, because, and I understood, if you don't know the narrative of why he's giving it to you, you could be like Stevie Wonder and living in the city. Remember when he got off the bus? New York, just like I pictured it, skyscrapers and everything. And somebody gave that man, hey, you want to make a couple dollars? He said, all right. And got the bag. The police showed up. What they say? No, I was just walking. Hey, shut up, getting that out. That's what they said. 10 years later, he was left out. 10 years of dealing with justice or injustice, if you will. And I told you guys yesterday. Okay, all right, there you go. All right, I see Sister Reed lock load. I won't be breaking in your house anytime soon. Yes, we are addicted to colonialism. Thank you, Brother Abdul Basir Khan. Thank you. We are addicted, and we don't talk about it. Like, we need interventions to get away from that. I love Frantz Fanon. Frantz Fanon gave me one of the greatest aspects about colonialism. If you ever get to read it, you probably have. I've mentioned it before. Read Wretched of the Earth. Read about colonialism and Wretched of the Earth. And that whole thing, you'll read, there's a term in there called false ego ideal. I don't believe, as African Americans, as Black Muslims, as immigrant Muslims, that we have ever gotten out of that whole thing of false ego ideal. Only going back to our prophetic leaders gives us that space, but we forgot about it. But we don't understand how to build in that particular situation. And the only thing we had here in the United States that was kind of close was the NOI, but the NOI had problems because it was still trying to follow a mandate. We were still trying to connect with our Arabian brothers and sisters over, and our Arabian brothers and sisters weren't trying to connect with us. You see the imbalance? And that imbalance is the thing we've been chasing here in America. Because, you know, justice is like the truth. And I always say the truth is something you never have to remember. Justice is something you never really have to remember. You know how it's supposed to go. Yes, no, in between. There's a process. When you get into the meanderings of trying to qualify levels of justice, that puts us where we are now. November the 4th is going to be interesting. Because I've been waiting for this shoe to drop a long, long time. I say waiting, but I haven't been looking forward to it. I say the shoe that's going to drop is a shoe of American democracy. And it's going to drop on the neck of a lot of white people that thought that they had privilege. If Trump gets elected, you won't have a president, brothers and sisters. You'll have a king. You'll have a monarch. You'll have a dictator. And along with him are his minions that will sell out the country, just like they've sold out the country this far. Don't be surprised. Don't be angry. Be ready. November 4th is around the corner, brothers and sisters. And I will caution you like I caution myself every day. Ask questions. Ask questions. Ask irritating questions. Ask repetitive questions. Ask until you get a level of comfort or a level of alarm where you can make, for lack of a better word, your own decision. You can make up your own mind. I'm going to suggest maybe a week before the election, everybody cut off the television, cut off the indoctrination, cut off the inculcation, cut off the TV. You know who you're going to vote for. And then vote. If you haven't already done it, vote. You can't even watch football these days. You know why? Because it's political ads. And just the fact that people are so hell bent on changing your mind to their way of thinking should be enough to say, I'm gonna cut off the TV anyway. So look, brothers and sisters, I gotta go. Because I love Sunday Potluck, but y'all also know I'm in class right now, so I got to get back in class. I appreciate you. If I haven't said it, I love all of you guys and ladies for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I appreciate your support. And I hope to see you tomorrow, if it's Allah with the will. Everybody, take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Preacher Ma Shout Out Show. See you tomorrow. Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your Shout Out Show experience. We'll be back with the next Shout Out Show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from ShOUT. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out TarifaTar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.